Just like that, episode
Just
3.
like that, the music again.
Take a lot of time to make that video. I'm a pro myself.
You're an IT specialist, buddy. Almost as good as me. Ask
Close.
Nate. IT Mark. Is Nate going to be on here? Tell me IT Mark.
Nate will always be. Nate, so I talked to Nate this weekend at the track.
Yeah?
Nate, he has transformed his living room because Monday nights are very busy.
What is wrestling?
Wrestling, fourth quarter show, Oval at Rose City.
He's got three big screens set up now.
So he said he went to the store. He got 3 85-inch TVs.
Yeah.
He's got them all set up.
It's ketchup chips. He stopped and got ketchup chips. Yeah.
I got him a new flavor of ketchup chips, Miss Vicky's.
Okay.
Spicy ketchup. Phenomenal chip. Highly recommend. He said it was the best chip he's ever had.
Him and Reese together.
So he mucked them.
Reese just got back from surgery.
Who?
Reese, his dog.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So they'll be watching wrestling together. Right?
1 chip for him, 2 chips for Reese. 1 chip for him, 2 chips for Reese.
You got her, buddy.
So let's let a couple people get in here. We got Team Robbins in the group.
It is. There it is. Nader, busiest night of the week.
Nate's here. Good evening, Chris. Chris and Hunter had a phenomenal weekend this weekend at the Rose.
Yep.
Practice is paying off. Let's give a couple more seconds here. And I want to shout out because I think you've had one of your best trophy race weekends of your career, I would argue. You finally got a first place trophy. You finally got a TQ.
Who are you talking to? Me?
You came and you redeemed yourself because obviously at the Canadian Nats you had a rough go, C main, DNF, and then you came, you redeemed yourself. You picked front wheel drive because I had the least amount of entries, so you were
Max, I told you many times, kid, you can't win your own race. It doesn't look good if you win the Canadian Nats. People don't come back. Okay. Like Glenn Steyer's at Ohsweken. Has he ever won the Canadian Nats? No,
but
you can't win at your own track.
At least he's made the show. At least he's made the show.
Or bought his way in. Did I say that? No. Yeah.
We could have had a 30-car A main if you wanted.
Like a mini stock team at Maryville Speedway.
We got no comment. We got Kenny in the house.
See right there, Showtime, best front wheel drive driver ever. That's my sponsor right there, Thornton Cycles, buddy.
You're just lucky Izzy wasn't there because Izzy would be a second faster than you per lap.
Who?
Exactly.
I never heard of that. I never heard of that gentleman. Is he pretty good?
I would have put so much money on that.
Is he pretty good?
Yeah. We are going to have him on the show, so you can ask him if he's any good.
I'll ask him if he's any good.
You can ask him. All right. I don't want to waste too much more time here. We have someone patiently waiting here.
Bring him on. Bring on the man.
Highly requested individual. He's new to the RC community, so it's good to get him in and see what, how he feels things are going in RC. So tonight's guest is someone who doesn't just TQ, he actually finishes the job. Multi-time Roar National Champion, multi-time U.S. Indoor Champs winner, IFMAR World Finalist, Canadian National Champion, NYGP Champion, Winter Warrior winner. This guy wins everything.
That's quite a list.
It's quite a list. He's smooth, he's fast, and he's annoyingly consistent.
It's stupid.
If you've raced him, you already know how it usually ends.
It's really
Let's get him in here. Sam Isaacs.
Hey, Malcolm, what you got for me?
There we go. Mr. 99.9%.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but thanks, guys, for having me on, for sure.
Even in practice, Max is disgusting. I went and checked him out. Sometimes see him practice. Yeah. Practice at 99%.
I'll try to if I can.
It's awful, dude. You are the man, buddy. It's really cool.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, I think
how you guys doing? Nice to be on here.
Thanks for coming, Sam. We're happy to have you on.
Sure. Thank you, Max. Yep. Thank you, Mark, for sure.
Taking time out of your busy day. Some people don't know, but RC is not your full-time gig.
It's not. No, it's just a hobby of mine. I still love it as much as I did 10 years ago when I was younger. But yeah, I don't race full-time, so that limits some of the travel sometimes, but still been able to get to most of the U.S. events and like Canadian Nats this year, so that was great, and hoping to keep doing that for sure.
Man,
yep.
Imagine if you ran all the time.
yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's nice. I love racing. It would definitely be a lot to do it full time. I think the travel would be the hardest part of that. For me, the love of racing, I think I could do it pretty consistently, but the travel would for sure get tiring, I think.
What do you do for a living anyways, buddy?
I'm on insurance. So I do insurance settlements, life insurance, annuities, all things of that sort. So I don't sell insurance. I'm more of the behind the scenes product related math stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yep, actuarial
So
stuff. So.
when you're at work, do they like? Does your coworkers know who they're sitting beside? Do they know the Sam Isaacs?
Not many people there follow my racing. My boss and a few others know that I will use most of my time off for racing events and things of the sort. But not everyone does, and I think some think it's cool, and some are like, "Yeah, that's kind of dumb," So you see all sorts of reactions. I think most people find that it's kind of a cool thing to hear about. Obviously, most people don't know much about like the high level sort of RC racing scene. Just sort of like, oh, I bought my son a car from Toys R Us or Walmart. That's an RC car that they can drive around, whatever. So yeah, some of them know about it a little more in depth that I've shown videos to and stuff that were interested, but I don't bring it up too often because they don't want to hear about it. It's okay.
And how many days last year did you use off? Because I feel like every 2 weeks you were somewhere.
Yeah, it seems like last year was busy. Probably about 5 weeks for racing, give or take, somewhere in the 23 to 28 day range, probably, and mostly allocated for races. Some races here are a little bit easier. Like you mentioned Winter Warrior earlier. That's a small event at my home track that, really only requires 1 day off. Cleveland doesn't really require any days because most companies here will give Friday as a holiday. So that's like a PTO day. You just have it off. I should say it's just a company holiday for most places. So some of them you can fit in and make them a little bit, make them work,
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
And how much do you actually practice?
I try to club race, at least during the carpet season, just about every weekend. We're open pretty much. Casey keeps our track open just about every weekend. So we'll club race. This year we had more guys running mod than the past. So we club race just about every weekend, even if it's just me, 2 or 3 other guys. We'll at least get on the track and kind of go through the motions, do the qualifiers in main. And I think it's good to be in a racing mode where you're on the clock for 5 minutes. Like you said, Mark, trying to, maintain a consistency or shoot for your, a certain consistency level. I think is a good thing.
You go?
Yeah, we do practice some. I mean, those race days we practice, and then we do some Sunday sessions. So we'll be open maybe twice a month on average on Sundays, and we'll go and just pound packs and test and run 12 scale and things like that.
And that's all you run? That's it?
Pretty much, yeah. I almost never run during the week now. It'd be a rare occasion, I would say.
That's sick, buddy. You are.
Yeah, it would be nice to run more, but we're not. We sort of have a leash such that we run on the weekends, and that's sort of it. And honestly, it would be hard to do on a regular day anyway to fit it in. Obviously, the bigger events that have Thursdays and Fridays, I'll run.
Yeah, but do you live close to your track?
I'm about an hour away, so not that far.
No, so you can. But you don't go there like on a Wednesday and Thursday and rip laps by yourself.
Unfortunately, not. No.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
Max, you know how good this guy would be. Okay, and I know
Max is ripping laps. Max is going to the track after this, probably.
Yeah, and I'm going to stir the pot already because that's why I'm here. How the hell does nobody, Awesome Maddox and all that, do not send you to one ETS or more ETS races, or just pay for you to go and get you there, man? I don't understand that.
I think it's honestly more of me than it is them. I wouldn't say that's them not wanting to send me or not willing to help. It's more of facilitating time off, the time beforehand to go practice. Next thing you know, it's more likely a 2-week trip. So I'd miss likely several U.S. races I would need to skip to fit one in. I think next year, I know I've talked about it with some guys here like Craig and Billy Spence that, I think we're going to try to do at least one race next year, probably shooting for the first outdoor race. So I think that's usually Appledorn. That's kind of the track we were looking at. So I would personally like to do an outdoor one just because their tracks are second to none. Carpet one would be cool too. That would be like second on my list, I think,
Really? Okay.
I think so. I know Max wants to do a carpet one, and Kenny mentioned it to me too. So I could be probably easily persuaded to switch over to that instead. But
which is the track with that corkscrew in it?
That's the Luxembourg track.
That's the one everyone has to go.
Yeah, that's Lucas Urbain's home track. He's told me a lot about it. So that looks like a really cool place to visit too. Mm-hmm.
That looks amazing.
It does. Yeah, we don't have really anything like that here in the U.S. It seems like there's a new track in Chicago now. I believe Jim Dieter is running it, and that place looks great. So, I think they have big aspirations for, holding Nitro Nationals, potential electric nationals. I haven't heard they'd be, a track that wants to hold the world in the future. So That would be sweet. I'm sure it'll be a big U.S. turnout, just like it was at Bakersfield.
Now, do you like asphalt racing?
I do. Asphalt's my, I would say my favorite sort of racing. I just like the way the cars feel. I like being outside. There's just something about it that I really enjoy. It's hard on tires. It does require a lot of tires. I think the car maintenance is more. The cars go through belts faster. The shocks don't last as long, or dampers in my case. It's just harder on the cars. The surface is rough. It can be dirty. So, there's pluses and minuses. You can get rained out a lot. Can't do that on carpet, So, yeah, there's fun things. Like last weekend, we were trying to run and we got rained out. So they had to cancel. It is what it is, That happens a lot here in April and May, that time frame.
Same thing. That's why I tell Max when we start talking about 1/8 buggies again and all that kind of stuff. And I told Max 35 years in the hobby. A lot of times we drove 8 hours, 12 hours and sat underneath the tent all weekend in the rain and the mud and rubber boots.
Oh, yeah.
The drive back home. And I'm like, my kid can do it if he wants or whatever, but I'll never, right? No, I can't.
Yeah, I remember Max was telling me that he was thinking about running off-road. And I think if you have a place close by, it'd be worth doing because I think that any wheel time is useful. I know your focus is on road, Max, but I think the extra wheel time will only help you improve. I feel like the years thinking back at it before this podcast, I feel like the years that I did a little bit of off-road, a little bit more than I'm doing now, I'm trying to maybe get back into it, were some of my better years of on-road driving in race results. And I don't know if there's a link there, but I think there's got to be. Just multiple disciplines is a good thing overall.
Yeah, you had a terrible year this year. I agree. Yeah. Get back to the buggy out again.
You got to go back to the buggy. Exactly.
Yeah. You had a rough year.
Yeah.
But would you ever take it to the next level and maybe, say to someone, whoever Osmatics, like, hey guys, can I do this for a year full time and see, if I can do this? Has that ever been a thought of yours?
Not that much. When I was younger, I thought maybe I would want to do it, but I wouldn't say it's been that much of a thought. I've sort of kind of embraced a lot of people refer to it as like the semi-pro sort of role. And I'm honestly okay with that. I love RC, but I have some time to do a few other things and I can still work full time and sort of do my career with that. So I wouldn't say I pursue it professionally, but I definitely feel like when I'm at an event, I want to be in that headspace like I am doing it professionally because I feel like that's how you do your best, right? You're not worried about other things when you're at an event of that level where you're really trying to do well or perform well,
Were you going to the Worlds this year before it was canceled and all that? Were you going?
I wasn't going to go to the China one. No, I was not. I wasn't planning on making that. A big factor in that for me was a lot of the guys from my area were not able to go with work restrictions and things of the sort. And that's something that as I've gotten older, I've learned to like a lot more, the camaraderie of it, the friendships of it that I've made that far go beyond RC. So I wasn't that inclined to go all the way there for that. I'm curious to see where the reschedule is, location wise and date, and possibly look into going because I had a great time at the 12 Scale Worlds back in 23 here, the one in London back in 2020, and obviously the Touring Car Worlds in Bakersfield. The Worlds was just a different experience. They don't actually, no.
Because arguably, you are the, one of the best on-road drivers in the world, whether you think it or not. I mean, you finished top 10 at the Touring Car Worlds, which I don't think many people had you there, but you did it. And then 12 Scale Worlds, you were, top 5 at most times as well. So you are one of the best drivers in the world right now.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks. I think that it would be tough to go somewhere else depending on how much practice you had, because I think being comfortable on a track is a big thing. So if you go to a huge track in China, bigger than any track you've raced on in the US, it will be tough to adapt if you only have 4 to 6 practice runs. Not impossible. The nice thing about the Worlds here was you could go and test beforehand, which obviously I felt like helped tremendously, was a good thing. But, the Worlds are always, you have to bring your best performance because you got drivers like, Bruno and Orlowski are the first 2 that will come to mind, I think, for most people and for myself for sure, that they adapt extremely well. And it almost doesn't matter the surface for those guys. And there's very few guys that you can say have that ability to adapt so well and so quickly. But it would be a fun experience to go somewhere else and maybe try to practice for a few days beforehand, and do another world championship in another country. For sure.
Like I always thought
Shout out to Jeff Rowland. I saw his comment pop up here. So
I always thought the TC Worlds one time should be on carpet. Just because off-road ran on carpet a few times, Worlds and stuff. I always thought, why isn't there one time where it's actually on carpet?
I think a lot of people would like to see that. I heard grumblings that could be something, but I don't know if that's ever come to fruition.
Yeah,
that's sort of as far as I've ever heard on the topic. I wouldn't mind seeing it either. Like you said, why couldn't it be?
Like your Cali Worlds, I thought that was a good sized track. When I see some of these tracks, this is my opinion, is that some of these tracks look like a giant go-kart track going around. You know what I mean? I've never run on a track that big myself, but I'm like, I don't know. I think when you guys, that Cali track was a perfect size.
It was.
And a lot of guys probably think it's too small, maybe.
Maybe a touch too small. That would probably be the only complaint. I mean, David and his crew there really run a great program. The track was extremely smooth. You almost couldn't build a carpet track that smooth. It was so smooth. The grip was extremely high, which we all expected, so nothing surprising there. If anything, it could be a little bit bigger, but I mean, the racing was close and it was tight. I mean, there were 20, 25 guys there who had good pace that at any time could put in a top 10 run. And like you mentioned, some of these tracks are so big, they almost look like they're a little bit too big for 10 scale. I heard that complaint about the GDC location in China from some drivers that, it's just so big and massive that you had to even make sure your speed control was very well soldered. Otherwise it would fall apart.
Gotcha.
It's just kind of crazy to think about, but I can understand it,
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the big question that some people have for you is, I want to start back in your early days because, not to I know of, but your family's not into racing. Your parents aren't into racing. So, what stumbled you across an RC track? The early beginnings, day one, Sam Isaacs. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, so my parents were never really into racing. When I started, my brother did a little bit. But basically, I was a young kid, probably 10 or 11. My mom took me to a local hobby store called Hobbyworks, which is still around actually to this day. And I bought a Traxxas Sprint. No, it was called a Spirit. Excuse me, Spirit. I don't know if they still make it. And I would run it up and down my streets to no end. And I had a great time running that thing. And until one day, I crashed it into a tree. And the car broke in half. Obviously, I didn't know anything about how to fix one, let alone how to really do anything with it. But I knew it was broke. The car was in half. It was a plastic tub chassis thing. Brought it to my mom and was like, I think this thing is broke. I think I need a new one. This is done. We brought it back to the store. They told me they couldn't fix it. I was like devastated because I love driving this thing up and down the street. You know what I mean? Couldn't be fixed. And they didn't have any more. So whatever reason, they were just out of stock of everything. There was nothing more I could buy at the time. So she said, okay, well, we left. I was upset. I was a young kid, probably 11, 10, whatever. And we went to the track in Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is now an off-road track, but at the time was a very prominent carpet track with guys like Craig Xavier, Robbie Dodge, Arvin. A lot of really good competitive drivers were racing there. She had already hosted a national. So my mom researched the place, found it, and took me there. And that's when I got to see my first glimpse of like carpet racing. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. It was back when the tracks were 2x4s, but she had a big 100x48 track and really good racers there. So when I saw that, I was hooked. So I got a car. I had a Losi, one of the front motor cars, the JRX S, I think it was. Yeah. I had a Corrali RDX, which I bought off of Greg Fanganel. And that was sort of like the first car that I had that I like kind of raced decent with. Greg sold it to me. He was a really good mechanic and still is. I think you guys met him at Canadian Nets. I bought that car from him and I had started to like do semi decent, like wasn't the guy beating down the boards like I was my first year or two there. Getting a little bit more acclimated until I took the car apart, rebuilt it, and just could never get it working right again because I didn't know what I was doing still. So I sold that, and then I, had some X-ray cars for a while, which worked really good, and that's sort of what helped get me up to speed. A lot of guys there were running X-ray at the time, and I'd say by like 2010 or 11, I was like pretty competent as a driver. I wasn't running mod at the time, but that's sort of how I progressed into it. But yeah, I was beating down the boards hard for a while. And, you know, as a young kid, you don't even really remember it that much. But the guys surely remind me that that was the case at my track. Yeah. So she's an off-road track now. The on-road scene kind of died out there. But yeah, that's where I started. So I had a car from a hobby store, broke it in half when I ran it into a massive tree. And then I found a hobby store after that from my mom's finding. So, and we're still friends with the track owner to this day. She's kind of become a personal friend of mine and my mother's as well. So it was kind of funny how that worked out. And that was probably like 2006 or 7. So a long time now.
Yeah.
She had a hobby business before the track owner, and she still loves doing the hobby. Yep.
Wow. That's incredible. Even somebody being around that long.
Yeah. She's been around a really long time for sure. And, you know, it's hard to keep stuff open in the hobby space, I think. So,
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
you know, she's had to adapt her track to what people want to race and who's showing up, you know? Yeah.
You better go
so
give your
that's-
mom a big hug.
Yeah, I know, right? So
We all, the RC community must. She gave us the Sam Isaacs we have today. The one that destroys us all on the track.
that's funny. I wonder where my broken car is. I don't know whatever happened to it. Somebody must have thrown it away. My broken Traxxas Spirit.
Never even heard of that.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if they still make it. They may not. I know I had that, and then much later, like a Traxxas Rustler, because it was like the fastest one at the time. You know how like Traxxas puts on the box how fast their cars go? I think they still do that. Yeah. The Spirit was pretty. I mean, I thought it was fast. Obviously, it was faster than I could control.
Because somebody put that tree in the way. That tree probably.
The tree was, yeah. I mean, the tree is still there. It's
Your neighbor probably planted it while you were out there, right? Because there's no way Sam Isaac would hit anything. So.
that's the paint job, Max. Right there.
Right here.
That's it. That was it. Yep.
Look at that beauty.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if they still make that, but
Oh,
that was the car, and like you can see, it's kind of like a tub sort of chassis. I actually looked it back up because I distinctly remember this story, and yeah, it was just like completely busted in half. And it was a young kid working the counter, I remember, and he's like, "I can't fix this for you, buddy." And I was like a devastated 10-year-old. You're like, "Dude, I just broke my toy. You don't have anything else?" You know what I mean? Oh.
It's crazy to think about it. It's crazy to look back at that technology and think like, you know, that was when we look at the cars and stuff now, and to see that was only, you know, you say 2006, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think about 20 years ago, probably. Yeah, pretty close to that time frame. You know, I before I started racing more often, I had like a nitro, like another Traxxas Sportec that I would run around my house. My dad thought it would be a good idea for me to get a nitro car. Boy, was he wrong about that. I remember multiple times that thing just took, because I had no idea what I was doing. It just took off. You know, you don't know how to tune a nitro engine or whatever, it gets stuck, whatever. And it just took off down the street until it wouldn't stop till it hit something. So my nitro career was very short-lived. People ask me if I'd still race it again nowadays, but I really have never done it, and I'm not familiar with. I'd have a lot to learn. I'm not familiar with anything, and I know you need a pit guy to really race it competitively. So it was not ever something I dabbled in. Yeah. You know,
Michael Rosario wants to know when you're going back to 360.
I'm going to try to make it there sometime this summer. Definitely before September. I'd like to go there at least once or twice before the GP in October for sure. So GP's on the calendar, and then definitely another race or two for sure. Try to get back up there as soon as I can. Maybe I'll meet you there, Max.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
I know you had a good time last time. Definitely a fun race.
NYGP is a great race. The facility's insane.
For sure.
Hotels across the street, so it's
yeah, that's really nice.
Walking back, yeah.
Yep.
Highly recommend that race. It's my second favorite race to the Canadian Nats.
Canadian Nats. Yep.
Yeah,
That Canadian Nats was awesome this year. I don't know when you guys want to in the show talk about races, but yeah, Canadian Nats was a great time. I would highly recommend it. And a lot of guys, quick segue, a lot of guys from my track asked about it, and I told them I would recommend going. The US dollar, like you guys have mentioned and know, can go pretty far there. So, you know, it makes the race comparatively less expensive for US guys versus going to Cleveland or any race really.
You made my kid laugh a lot. He says when you first went up on the stand, you guys for your first quali, He goes, Sam actually tells me he's nervous. I'm like, what the hell you got to be nervous about? You won everything in the goddamn world. And he goes, I never ran in front of people before. He goes, the heat before us, guys sent into the banner, all these people around are cheering, and he goes, I don't want
to I watched Max and Bryce on their podcast, and Max said, you don't want to send your car, and all the young kids watching go, ooh, ah. I'm like, man, I don't want to be that guy that sends his car. You know what I mean? So I was like, the sweeper comes up kind of quick at the Canadian Nats. You guys have a nice layout, a nice round sweeper, but it comes up quick. So
yeah.
I don't want to be, the guy that runs his car into the wall on the first 3 laps of the event.
I think 2 qualies, you had kids going ooh and ah. Maybe they weren't your fault. Q1 someone got in your way, and I think it was Q3 or Q4 someone else got in your way.
Oh, the guy with the blue car, I think it was.
Which
that's right. We like that guy. Yeah, that's okay.
He's already on here. He's already on here already.
Oh yeah, Jimmy's on here.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever said sorry.
No.
You said you went too slow through the center section.
He did a great job making those curbs. He made up for it. Those curbs are great.
Yeah.
So hopefully you guys keep having him do them. I think he did a really good job on those.
Oh, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were awesome. Made for really good racing.
We have them at the Rose City now, our home track.
Yeah, who asked for him, Max? Amazing. Who asked to get some made? Was it EA?
A bunch of guys.
It would be awesome to see that. I mean, I personally am a fan of tracks that have, some sort of curbing system, whether it's Jimmy's or the Tetsujin ones that 360 has. I think that's the name of the brand.
Yep.
I'm all about, curbing and no boards personally. I do think board tracks are harder. I mean, that's what we used to race on, but they're definitely more difficult. And they're harder on the car, obviously, if you crash.
You're right, though, buddy, about the old days. These guys, the younger guys, don't know what it's like to run on 2x4 tracks when you hit something.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing's left.
I had a little bit of 2x4 experience, like I was saying, at that track in Gaithersburg, Maryland. That's what it was. And she still got pictures on the wall. She's a dirt track now, but she still got pictures on the wall of her 2x4 tracks. And if you hit it, you would rip the whole side of your car off. You were done.
You must have ran at Cleveland with the yellow boards.
I did. Yeah, I did run at Cleveland several times with the yellow boards.
That could get ugly there too, buddy.
That was a little hairy, and then the boards were tall, so it was also hard to see your car. So I think that's another modern improvement that, if you're up on the sweeper, your car is not lost, That was never fun losing your car, but yeah, it seems like more and more tracks are, going to flex track or a combination of flex track and curbing, which I think is definitely a good thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So a little bit back when you started racing, so now you're practicing more. You're at the track. I can't believe you said Robbie Dodge and Craig were already there running.
Yeah. I remember, those guys. They were the fast guys. There were some other fast guys too, for sure. But I remember meeting Craig when I was pretty young. He used to cut the comms on my motors. So like back then you needed a comm lathe and you were using much more and Trinity dischargers and things of that sort. So Craig would work on my motors and cut the comm and put new F brushes in it and stuff. I didn't know I needed it, but I mean, you're trying to learn stuff. So he was working on my motors and I'd give him like $5 and he'd redo my motor for me. So it was a good deal for me. We still joke about that sometimes because, back then we were taking motors out of the car every run, cutting foam tires every run. And that's sort of how I learned because that's what those guys were doing and they were fast. So it helped having a group of guys there that really knew what they were doing. So I could just kind of watch and learn and try to get better at driving.
So
I don't miss foam tire touring car, but
no, but you somehow love foam tire 12 scale.
Yeah, right, exactly. We already have one foam class. I don't think we need any more.
I don't think we need any more classes.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Don't get going.
No, I'm done. I'm done. I already got enough heat the last 3 weeks. But when you were growing up, you're practicing with these guys. Like, when did you go to yourself like, oh shit, this is serious? Like, what were some of those early key points in your career where you were like, I can take this to the next level, or your first big race? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I was sort of racing for a while and had gotten to a pretty decent level. She had the nationals there. She meaning Mimi Wong, the track owner, in 2010. I was still in high school at the time before I went to college. I kind of stopped racing when I was in college, but I was pretty decent at that time. She ran 17.5 boosted, which was the sportsman class at the time, believe it or not. And it was actually pretty fast. I think even in today's speeds, it would be not that slow. And I was able to end up TQ and winning that. And I was like, I felt like I was a pretty decent driver. There were, Arvin and Danny Jenkins. There were some really good drivers in the class. So I was like, okay, that was kind of cool for me. Like sort of like my first big win. It was considered sportsman, but their guys in it really knew what they were doing, and they helped me a lot to get there. With my car setup, because I didn't know a whole lot about it, and just making sure everything was sound with my speed control, my motor was soldered right, because all those things on my own watch were going to be a little bit suspect at the time. So yeah, then I went to school, kind of stopped racing for a while, and then I kind of got back into it when I got out. I did some Clevelands in the meantime, just because it was during break. And that's sort of when I started really getting more into it and had more time that I could commit to racing without periodic stopping for school and things like that. So that's when I thought, okay, I want to keep racing and see if I can get better, and then start dabbling in mod and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because I think I thought the first time I watched you in mod, correct me if I'm wrong, like on a big scale, IIC 20, we talked about this, 2016 or something?
I think that's right. Yep. Yeah.
And
so
you're a B main.
I was in the B main. Yeah. So I ran mod at the IIC in 2016. And that was an amazing race. There were so many good drivers there. It was an awesome experience. I really wish that was a race again. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, that was the first time I ran mod. I think I finished third in the B main, which I think I was pretty happy with at the time. Felt like I got around decent, but yeah, it was the first time I had done a major event running mod. I think I did a little bit that prior summer on asphalt and a little bit on carpet, but it was pretty much like my first time doing it. So I think Kevin Hebert, who obviously I've raced a lot since, and Martin Hootie were also in the main with me. I think Martin Hootie won that main. I could be mistaken, but I think he did. So,
you also were a top dog in stock at the time, though.
Yeah, at the time in stock, I was pretty close toward the top. I think me, Mike G, and Kyle had a lot of good battles for sure. G ended up crushing us all at that race. He was just dialed there. EA, of course, Craig, a lot of the same guys. Now Kyle's doing stuff with AE. He hasn't been racing as much, but he's right there. So yeah, I was running well in stock. I don't think I ever won a Vegas event, but had a few podiums, I think. Yeah, now, definitely a fun event.
It was a blast. I went, when I was like 16 or whatever it was. Great race.
I must not have known you then, obviously.
No, I didn't know you. You looked a lot different.
Yeah.
We both looked different. And it was a great race. I wish there was a I would definitely go.
Yeah.
Now that we're older now too, maybe you can go out a little bit because you don't like to go out,
I think it would be cool. I remember then at that race, he would close the track at 7:00. A lot of guys didn't like it because they wanted to practice, but it's like, you're in Vegas. He wanted people to go enjoy it instead of just slogging away at the track nonstop,
Yeah. 100%. So if we look at your full racing career, 2006 to now, is there one win that comes to mind that's like stuck with you? That you're like, that one meant a lot, or it felt really good to win that race? Is there one that sticks out?
I would probably say, that's a good question. I'd probably say the first time I ever won the nationals in mod on asphalt. I wasn't doing a lot of asphalt races for a while. I started to get into it in 2000 and I did the nationals in 2018. Sorry, I'm 17, excuse me. But I believe I missed the 2019 one at Speed World. So and I think I missed the one at Fort Myers as well. I'm blanking on the year. That might have been 2018. But there were a couple that I couldn't go to because of work commitments or school or something. And I had practiced a lot because it was effectively my home track. It was at Jackson. It was driving distance for me. I ran there a lot. I felt like I had a good car. So that's one of the most memorable for me because I remember having wanted to win one on asphalt and felt like I had a pretty good program at the time. So that was back in 2021 now. So a while ago, but that's one that definitely sticks out, I would say.
Interesting. I never would have guessed an asphalt race was the
Me
one
neither.
that stuck with you.
Yeah. It was the first one, and I had wanted to at that time. Like guys like Rick Howard were still racing and very fast. Rick didn't make it to that race, but like Rick was always the guy, and Cavalieri as well, who didn't go to that nationals. And I kind of wish he did because I would have loved to have raced him at that race because I really feel like I would have given him a good run just from the fact that I knew my car and tracked so well there. So that's sort of why that one stuck out to me, just because it was the first time ever winning an asphalt national. So you probably expected to hear about a carpet race, I think, but
I thought for sure. I thought it was gonna be your first roar. carpet win.
Carpet race.
Yeah, that one was a little bit of a surprise. That was in 2017 at Donnie's, and Kevin and Paul. I didn't have the fastest car, but I wasn't that far back, maybe like 2 turns, and I think Kevin and Paul got into it a few times, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. So I can't say I expected to win that race. I can't even say that I should have necessarily, but it just kind of all worked out for me. And then that was sort of the beginning of me running mod, at a better clip. I mean, I think by the following year at Apex, I had like become a better mod driver where I could compete without having to get lucky, so to speak, to win, So that, it was a cool race. I mean, I think by that time, Paul will always joke around that I put him into retirement, but I don't think that's the case at all. I think he just was ready to do something else, and I don't blame him. Like, he was not as focused on his racing as he was when he was younger. So,
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about this Roar Nationals, the one we just passed at Texas, because I think it was for many people that don't know, an interesting event. We talked with Chris Adams last week, obviously the man who won the race, but it was super competitive. There was some, again, we talked with Chris about it, some qualifying. I don't even know some teamwork that went on that maybe, put you a little bit behind, but overall you still finished third. But you had the pace to finish higher. What's that feeling when you could have been higher, but just that weekend didn't come together?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good time at RCCA. I mean, it was definitely a hard track. It was a hard layout. Even beyond the layout, I just think the tacky grip there was something that was a little bit different for me. It wasn't as quote unquote greasy as we see at some races. So it was definitely a challenge. Like Chris mentioned, I had a chance to rewatch his episode. I didn't see it in real time, but I recently rewatched it, and like you mentioned, me and Kevin came there before, really tried to figure out our cars, and sort of knew where we needed to be just from looking at his lap times and stuff. So it was tough. I mean, it was hard. His cars were extremely good there, and he drove extremely well, and he practiced his ass off. So, kudos to him, because he laid it down and definitely deserved to win. As far as my performance, I mean, I think we were really close in qualifying. I think maybe less than 4/10 between 2 rounds. I pushed super hard in the 3rd round to try to get him. I didn't really make a mistake on the last lap, but I did. I went a little wide the last corner of the very last lap of Q3, think about it. And he ran a good lap. If I had just ran my average lap, I would have been able to win that qualifier and make it down to Q4. But that was, for my car setup and driving, that was pretty much all I had at the time. I think it was a high 99% run or mid 99. So I was trying to give him it all. I mean, you got to race hard, but that's sort of all I had. And then Q4 going into, I think what you're alluding to, Max, I knew Chris already had TQ, but I had not spent much time figuring out the stipulation with points. In my mind, I had already thought I for sure had 2nd on the grid. It turns out that was not the case. So basically I pushed hard, made a change to the car to see if it would be better for the mains, thinking, okay, I'm going to line up 2nd. Let's try to get the car better. And then I would feel pretty good about trying to race Chris. You know what I mean? So that's sort of where my head was at the time. I think where anybody's would be. Pushed the car hard, trying to race him, ended up hitting a wall and breaking the car, bent the rear body tuck into the tire. So I had to pull off. At that time, Chris was leading the qualifier. Kevin was ahead of Kemp, and Chris pulled off with a couple laps to go, which let Kevin win the round and earn a 0. So I believe he had 1 point less than me on the overall and was able to get 2nd on the grid. I think if I had just driven a clean qualifier, I would have finished 2nd in that one at worst. Just looking back at the pace and stuff, and would have been 2nd on the grid. So that was the biggest disappointment of the event for me, because I felt like qualifying 3rd really, really limited my shots of having a good shot to win again. Just because there were 2 really good drivers in front of me, Chris and Kevin. And I'm like, man, that's going to be hard to try to pass both of them, let alone with as much speed as Chris has and how confident he was and how well he was driving. He had his whole program working. So I was like, man, that was a bummer, but I certainly don't blame anybody else for it. It was more like that was a bad decision on my part to do that and not thinking about what could have happened in terms of breaking my car and costing myself a grid position, which is basically what it did. So that was kind of disappointing. Me and Kevin had some good battles in the main, but they're in A3, but there was not much I could do from there to, even if my car was good enough, which I don't think it was quite there, my driving wasn't quite there. I think I would have had a little better shot from second. I can't say I would have. It would have been very, very hard to try to beat Chris or pass him. So I'm not saying that would have happened, but I would have had a better shot to do it. So, obviously nobody wants to give away positions in any class. But yeah, I certainly don't blame him for helping his teammate. I would do the same for mine. That's just sort of how call points works, and you have to be aware of the situation. I wasn't aware of it enough to handle it properly, I suppose,
Now we know for next year.
Yeah, exactly. These race are call points, so you have to factor that strategy into it for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
And not just for yourself, for your teammates too, because it kind of does become a team game when it's call points.
Yeah.
Now
you can't help anybody in rock around, but you can in call points.
It's a bad question to ask you now, but what do you prefer? Straight up or qual points when you go to an event?
I prefer qual points still. Yeah, I've always liked qual points. I think more than one run should count. I do think there should be some consistency factor that weighs into it. Just because I don't know how to read the rules, I'm not going to change my opinion on that.
We were going to do that at the Canadian Nats this year, but with a lot of club level racers that you've seen like at the Canadian Nats, which brings all those people in. I told Max, I said, I think I need like a month, 2 months ahead to try to tell these people on how it actually works. Right.
Right.
They'd be pretty confused. They're upset that, you know what I mean? I did this lap or I finished wherever on Q4. Well, the other three you broke.
Oh, I finished it. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's definitely
that, you know what I mean? Every round almost counts. You better basically got to tell them.
Right. Yeah, it's like every round starts anew, and that's a tough thing to explain to somebody who hasn't done it before. I think a lot of the seasoned racers would vote for it, but like you mentioned, a lot of guys that haven't gone to big races might say,
what the hell's going on?
What are we doing here? What's going on?
That's why Max says, next year we'd love to do it, and that's what he was saying that. Yeah, I got to prepare like months ahead and explain to guys over and over on what really is going on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Better. I think it's better because not to knock it or whatever. What I just said. I watched somebody in Cleveland one time, and it's not his fault, but broke every round. And then you watch somebody like car 9 or 10 in the A, and this guy's in the heat all by himself, basically. Come back and and all of a sudden puts himself 8th on the grid. Well, 9 and 10, is going to have to move over for Sam Isaacs at some point, right? So it drops that lap time down. So sometimes you don't want to be that, right? Even though he had a better
definitely
run, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, if it's a qual points thing or even rocket round, if you're that 8th, 9th, or 10th guy in the top sort and the leaders are going to be coming around on you, that's going to hurt you compared to leading off the B sort. And I've had that experience firsthand, both being the guy at the back of the sort where my car wasn't that good to being the guy at the Worlds. I was in the B sort after seeding and they didn't resort. And I was able to be one of the front runners in the B sort. No, I wasn't in anybody's way. I was sort of toward the top of the heat. So it let me put in clean, hard runs and get good points where some of the A guys, had mishaps or whatever. So you could shoot up in the points. So it can work both ways, like you said.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought the Roar Nats was an awesome race. It was a hard race, but it's good to have challenging races and at different tracks and things of that sort. So I thought it was a great race. Chris and his crew did a great job. To be able to race 2 classes like he did, 2 hard classes, not 21.5, very competitive, mod obviously very competitive, and to be able to TQ and win both, but also to run the event. That's hard to do. Very hard to do. And facilitate everything is just very hard to do. So that was impressive to say the least. For sure.
Yeah, it's a good point. It was a great event. Highly recommend.
Definitely.
Sadly, we're not going there they have the Huddy Series race coming up.
Yep.
I think it's this weekend coming up.
Yeah, I'd like to do that one, but I can't do that one this weekend. But I definitely plan to get back to RCCA for sure. And if nothing more, I just like the challenge of going there. It was a lot of fun. But I think, obviously Chris will be there racing. I know Kevin's going and Hagberg, so they'll have a good race to follow there this weekend, it looks like.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I'll definitely tune in some for it.
It'll be good. You mentioned there a little bit about the Worlds because you were in the B sort, for qualifying, it helped you out, blah, blah, blah. But it's not like, again, I know I mentioned this already, IFMAR Worlds, your top 10, like that. I don't think that gets, hyped up enough because that's like insane to think about, especially when you go back and look at the list. Like, Lucas Urbane, full-time driver in the B main, like bunch of top guys. There was 25 guys that could have made the show. What were your expectations when you showed up there? You know, like, did you think you could make the A? Were you hoping top 15? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I knew it would be tough. Like you said, there were a lot of good drivers there that really, there were realistically probably 20 guys that on a good day could have made the show. My goal was to make the show, to be honest. If I did that, I thought it would have been a good weekend, and I knew it would take a good weekend to do it. I never thought I could run in the top 3 or top 5. But my car worked really well. I know we were struggling with setup, and Billy Spence came up with a few ideas, roll center things and top decks, I believe, that really helped us there for the crazy high grip and the cool morning conditions. So, it just kind of all came together with where I was qualified and where I was seating, that everything just sort of worked out for me to, the mains weren't great. I got caught up in some carnage in A1, and the changing track conditions were hard to keep up with. So I didn't manage to keep up my qualifying position, but kind of at that point, I almost felt like I was playing with house money, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, I was just happy to be there. I didn't expect to win. I didn't have the speed to do it, or the talent probably. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't get in the way, and I felt like I had some good races within those mains. So it was definitely fun. But those European and Asian drivers are definitely top notch and hard to compete with, for sure.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, their top decks, roll centers. How much does your setup change from start to finish at an event like that, or any event? I know obviously you go with your base setup that you've developed.
Yeah.
Are you changing, just a 2 minor things, or are we making big changes, or how does that
So I have a funny story about that now that you say it. I went to Bakersfield a few times before the event. Felt like my car was pretty good. Went to the World's warm-up the month prior. It was super hot, like 105 air temp in the middle of the day. So basically, you practice in the morning, then everybody would go to lunch for 3 hours because it was so hot and useless. And then you'd come back and practice. So it was like these mad rushes to practice in the windows of what we thought the world's race itself would be like. And I just had no speed at that event. My car wasn't good. My driving wasn't good. I just didn't know what I was doing wrong. Having been there before, I knew I could drive better and have a better car than what I did. So I sort of just reset everything. Before the Worlds, we went to a small track. I think it was an hour north of Bakersfield, called Exeter, to practice. And I showed up there with my standard setup, and then one much different setup with, like, I think it was lower roll centers and different thickness top decks and heavier shock oil, or everything was different on it. And when I put that car down, it was instantly better than anything I had used on asphalt in the past, which was kind of weird, and I didn't know where to go with that. But after talking to Billy and Jeff and Craig and stuff, that's sort of the car I ended up racing with. And so that warm-up event gave me a lot of confidence to do well, because my lap times were on par with basically everybody else at that track for the warm-up. So I was like, okay, hopefully this transfers over to Bakersfield, and then maybe I can have a good result. But it really, I actually went a much different direction in setup at that race than I normally would. And I think it's probably a good thing that I did. Yeah. So kind of a crazy thing to do before the Worlds, but it sort of worked.
Yeah. So, like, what was that feeling? Like, you found this crazy setup, you're going to Worlds. Did you put that car on the track and it was fat? Because obviously practice is restricted there. You can't just, it's not like Cleveland where you can just run till you can't see.
Right.
And it worked there instantly?
Yeah, so I believe the first couple practice runs, I had Mike Hanulek or someone put down both cars. You could run 2 cars, and I think there was a certain point at an IFMAR Worlds where you have to choose a car. Obviously, you have to get a chassis mark that you can only change if you detonate the chassis. You have to, like, show them it's damaged so you can swap it out. But yeah, that car was still better there, and I'm like, I'm gonna race with this car and see what I can do. It's sort of how it went. I think I seated like 12th or 13th or something. So not bad. It was like a 3-lap seating. But I knew the car drove well, and could be in the top 10 if I just didn't crash or roll on curbs, which I still did a few times. But I remember distinctly landing on my wheels a couple times. That helped, obviously. So sometimes you get lucky, better to be lucky than good, I guess. Right.
And so I don't want to get you in trouble with this, but you have this setup, it's working well. I mean, I'm sure other guys like Lucas and Reinhardt had different setups. Mackler was there working on cars. Do you go and say, hey guys, I found this setup? Or is that something you kind of kept to yourself or keep to yourself? Like, how does the teamwork work on that kind of event at that kind of level?
No, yeah. When I think it was clear after the first 2 rounds, and actually had Hara sitting right behind me, and I kind of we sort of became very friendly with each other. I'd say friends at the World's warm up. And he was running a much different setup. His car was definitely better at the warm up than mine was. He had the FD top decks and some things that you just make the car work a lot differently that I didn't really like. So yeah, I showed him my setup. I remember Lucas had asked me for my setup, so I gave it to, I made a little sheet in my downtime and sent it there. Mark was really fast, and I don't think me and him were that different. So Mark was kind of rolling with what he had, and then he was, honestly, after the second main, it looked like Mark was going to win the event, and I thought for sure he was going to pull it off because Mark does things like that nobody else does. So I was pretty convinced Mark was going to win the race, which I thought would have been awesome. It didn't happen for him. I mean, he definitely gave it a good effort, but yeah, we made sure to share the setups for sure. And I can't even say they were my findings. They were more of our, stock team, the guys that I come with and travel with. Jeff, Billy, and Craig had, I think really Billy, I have to give him the most credit. He just found some stuff that worked really well. And even with the tire prep, how we were heating the tires with the, the warmers were set and this and that. We kind of all had it working. And the track would change so much. I remember showing up in the morning wearing 2 jackets, freezing cold. It was like 48, 50 degrees. And then to midday where you don't even need a jacket at all. It's super nice out. You had to have a car that was decent in all those conditions. That was tough to figure out. Yeah.
That's asphalt racing.
For sure. Yeah.
Those are some dream names people think about to work with, and you get to work with them as a semi-pro driver. It's gotta be a cool feeling.
Yeah, it is. And all those guys have become, my good friends over the years. So I feel very lucky to be able to say that, So it is cool. I'm, working with those guys and having like Hara sit behind me. Like I had never met Hara prior to that October before the Worlds. It was cool to meet somebody like him. He's like, if not the most legendary person in RC, in the top 5 for sure. Yep. I always joke that the vintage off-road scene is a big thing now. I would love to see a vintage car, a Hara re-release of something he used when he won the Worlds or something, as I know I would surely buy it. So, it's cool to see guys like him and Mark Reinhardt, who's been on the scene for so long, who's now a veteran driver. He's still as good as the younger drivers. But he's been at that pace for 20 years. You don't really see that a whole lot,
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
He's one of the best.
Yeah. Definitely. Yep.
So,
yeah, he may be the best touring car driver ever. I mean, that's a whole nother debate, but he's certainly in the running, Very nice guy. Yep.
I mean, he finished 3rd at Worlds. He's top 3 at ETSs. It's kind of hard to say he's not one of the best drivers in the world right now.
For sure. Yeah, he's definitely still one of the best. He's won, I think, 5 Worlds and I think 3 in touring cars. So somebody else could fill me in on the stats, but I think Bruno's also won 3. So maybe that's the battle
Bruno's
there.
3 in a row, right? I think
that's right. Yeah, because he ended up, and obviously his performance was great at Bakersfield too. Orlowski, I thought Orlowski would have been a surefire bet to win in China. I think he would have had to have been the favorite. Some of you would have had to put him as the favorite. Probably still will be in the new location whenever that comes. So I'm sure he'll get his touring car Worlds win, if not multiple. Yeah, he's a young driver too. So
he's really good. I think he had an upsetting TITC. Not sure how much you followed that event, but it's so cool to be an outsider watching these events and seeing these top dogs go at it like any form of racing. We all have our personal favorites and personal bests, and then it's such a cool feeling to watch those big races. It's awesome.
It is cool. I honestly, it's the same for me. I love watching TITC and ETS races, just the video coverage and everything they do. It makes it exciting, and you want to watch it. It's really cool. But yeah, TITC, I think that's a bucket list race.
TITC, yeah.
Even how they do stuff over there is incredible, from their videos to their tracks to all that stuff. As running the Canadian Nats, you always thinking, always wanted more like that, like how they have it, or even down to the guys announcing, or there's 2 people announcing, and they go to coverage and they go to the guy. Me and Max were talking about that too. We want to do it as someone's got a mic and goes talk to the guy marshaling, right? How was your car that run? How was this? How was that? Like a pit walk, like F1s. And
yeah, and I know like Patrick Beck does. Definitely. Yeah, Patrick Beck over there does a lot of really cool interviews. They do like the top 3 press conference.
Yeah, that is so cool.
They interview the TQ and ask them about features and things of this on their car, what's new, what's not new. All that stuff's kind of cool. People want to see that stuff.
I think it takes to
pretty
the
neat.
next level of that it's just not toy car racing. You know what I mean? Or makes it feel
Yeah,
like
exactly.
toy car racing.
Makes it feel like a motorsport, like there's really something here. It's pretty cool. So I love watching those too. Like I'm a fan as much as anybody, as much as I like to race. I love to see that stuff too, just like anybody else. Yeah.
My other question for you, buddy, is that you've been in it long enough. What makes it? Is it just percentage wise, or what makes it that say off-road 1/8 buggy is probably the biggest in the, you know what I mean, and Americans win the worlds or more competitive, and then in on-road racing it's Euros or Asian drivers. I don't even remember, was there an American ever won the worlds in on-road like a TC, or was Barry Baker back in 90 whatever it is, or 2001 was the best shot? You know what I mean? What makes it that they're so much better at that next level compared to
Right.
buggy where there's 10 cars in the main and 5 are going to be Americans?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think now what it might be is that, those guys are good. A lot of them, in Europe, a lot of those top, let's say German drivers, I'm just going to use that as an example. Yeah. They live close enough to race together very often. And I think in the United States, a lot of the best mod drivers or even best stock drivers are very spread out. They only get to race each other 4 times a year. So I think
they're not spread out. They're all at your track. You have Aurora Nats every Saturday.
We do have a disproportionate following of good drivers in my track. You're definitely right about that.
It's insane.
Yeah, with Craig, Robbie, Jeff, Danny, the list goes on. So you're right. And so we are lucky at our track that we have a lot of good drivers in one space. Most places don't have that.
No, it's amazing, bro. And all of a sudden the next one that comes out actually comes out at your track. You know what I mean? The next one or the next gen or whatever.
We try. Yeah.
It's really cool you guys have that.
Yep. So hopefully that stat will bring Max down there next year because he's told me he's going to go. So we shall see on that. I don't know if I should hold my breath or not, Max.
How much? Hey, I went to a lot of races this year.
You went to a lot of races, just not ours. Oh. I'm kidding. But yeah, I think it's hard to get the guys together. And another thing is, I think everybody, does stuff full time. I know Kevin has his hobby store he's doing. Yeah. Obviously, Chris, owns a track, but I think other than the exception of this national, I'm sure he's busy running it, facilitating races, probably not practicing all the time. I'm sure he's got plenty of other things to do. He's got kids, wife. I'm working.
Is it because it's asphalt? Would it be a better chance for an American if it was on carpet?
I think if it was a black carpet race, Americans would have a better chance to do well because the conditions would likely change less and they'd be more used to them to begin with. But yeah, I think on asphalt, it's hard, especially, if the event is somewhere else on a big track, overseas. I think it'd be hard for an American to try to do well. I mean, I think doing well in the US and doing well internationally they're just different. They require different things. It's hard to get used to. Depth perception of the track, the tires, the grip difference, and how they spray and clean the tracks is all different. So I think that would be a tough factor. And I really don't think, excuse me, anybody's raced professionally in the U.S. for on-road since Paul. I could be wrong about that, but that's what comes to mind.
They're probably about right back in the day.
Maybe, yeah.
That Barry was that best shot with that Associated car that won Worlds, and he crashed or broke his car with like 30 seconds left, but that was his.
Yeah, right? That was actually a topic of discussion at Canadian Nats, and I from my understanding, I think Barry was the closest U.S. driver to winning a touring car worlds, and almost had it in the bag, and then it went south, unfortunate circumstances, I guess. Yep. But I know Paul, and I always rewatch the videos from like the 2008 worlds. That was the Mark and Hara battle, and the 2010 worlds that were in Germany. But Paul was right in the running in 2010. He won't like to tell you that. He won't talk it up, but
Paul's too.
I mean, Paul won the pre-worlds that year. He also won a Reedy race, which a lot of people don't know.
Yep.
So Paul was as good as any of those guys at that time. He definitely could have won a worlds. It just didn't happen. You know how it is. You have a short window to do it when you're at that level where you might have a shot. And I think he was at that level. Yeah, it just didn't quite happen, but he was right there.
I usually talk to Paulie about twice a week and whatever, and I bust him about that kind of stuff and how good he's so humble. He's so right. But
he's very humble. He won't say it, but Paul was right there with those guys.
There was nobody better, right? And a super guy for the hobby like yourself, Sam. Humble, nice person to talk to, helping, and that was Paul. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
There was no arrogance. There was no nothing. I said that's his biggest downfall. I bug him every day is that you're too nice and everybody likes you. There wasn't one person in this hobby ever said a bad word about Paul Lemieux. That's almost like yourself. I haven't heard one person ever say Sam's a jerk or F Sam or something, right? That's pretty cool, buddy. To be on top,
thank you. Yeah.
To be on top and everybody like you and love you, that's pretty cool, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I try to, I enjoy this hobby, and at the end of the day, we're racing, but I want to have friends in this hobby, and I want to enjoy it, and I'm not looking to create any enemies, and I want to have fun doing it. And I'm sure Paul felt the same way. He probably had a lot of fun racing like I do. And things of that sort,
Well, you're exactly right about that. So I've been in the hobby 35, almost 40 years, stuff like that, in and out. And you're right, it is the friendships. You know how many wedding parties I've been in and stuff like that. Or even Bryce now notices. He goes, Dad, I don't even talk to my hockey guys, even my junior guys I played hockey with for 3 years, riding the bus with and all that. I talk to these RC guys instead now. I hang with them. I said, yeah, I told you. And he's just like, yeah. And talking to people all over North America, and he gets it now. He goes,
oh, yeah. No, I know what it is. I mean,
he can't wait to go to the next race now, or he can't wait to go race or practice. He goes, I finally get it. It's really cool hobby.
Yeah, if I went to the track, like if our track was open and I would be the only one there practicing, I don't think I'd want to stay very long. It's just not that fun. I mean, it is fun to drive my car, don't get me wrong, but when you're there with your friends, practicing, joking around, talking crap, it's more fun.
That's the biggest one, is the talking crap, buddy.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the most.
I talk crap to Max all the time. Like I didn't know Max that well 3 years ago, but I know him a lot better now. And it's nice to meet more of the young guys. I mean, I think I'm still one of the younger guys, but there's plenty of guys that race that are younger than me. It's good to see more younger guys. Like you had plenty of Canadian nationals that want to keep racing.
Yes.
And get better. Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. It's cool that even Bracey has Max to hang with, and Max is a few years older than him, but he's got somebody to hang with and chat with. And
right.
I thank Max all the time because he's probably the best mechanic, right? For his own driving.
Max is pretty good, yeah.
He's improving all the time, Max, but he will put down his shit to work on Bryce's car at events, which I can't thank him enough.
Right.
I hope he understands that. It means a lot to me, man. It does. And he'll do
that's pretty cool, because most young people won't be that selfless to try to help somebody.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, 5 years ago, I might have felt like I need to focus on my car or this and that, but now, like, you want to see the young guys do well. I'd almost rather see younger guys do well than I care about my own racing, because it's just like, that's just sort of the evolution of things, it's just, it's nice to see younger people want to do the hobby.
Well, I always told Bryce too, I said, you want to be the guy that in this hobby that if that person can't win, they're rooting for Bryce. I said, that's the kind of attitude you have to carry and everything else, like a Paul Lemieux, like a Sam. If they can't win, they're very happy if that other guy wins. Right.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's that,
like you don't want to be the guy. I've seen it many times in my career racing where you watch somebody break and you watch the crowd cheer. You know that they don't want him to win, man, if they're actually cheering when the guy broke. I've seen that many times in Cleveland back in the day as well, way back.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to me. I would never. I mean, obviously, if I'm racing Kevin, Chris, Kemp, whoever, I mean, I want to try to beat them, but it's not personal for me. I like all those guys very much. I'll go have a beer with them, whatever, and they're going to race me hard just as I would want them to, and I think as they would want me to. But I would never wish for them to break their car, especially knowing most of those guys now on a personal level. They're all cool guys that I wouldn't want. The point is to race hard, and if you did your best, then you should be able to live with the results. That's sort of how I felt about carpet nets. That's all I had. I'm okay with that.
And with you guys up top, you must realize too, when someone gets into each other, you can tell when it's by accident, right? And at your guys' level, there's going to be a little mistake by somebody, a little bobble, right? It's not like you guys are sending each other off the track. You know what I mean? You understand a guy made a mistake. Hey, my bad, right? My bad, Sam. I got into you in that corner. My fault.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you race closely somebody for a long time. At some point, you might take them out or they might take you out, but they didn't mean to do it. And racing close, that's just sort of how it has to go down sometimes. So I've taken people out before. I've been taken out. I don't hold a grudge against anybody for it, because that's part of racing. You can't race somebody close and never hit them. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
but for the most part, it's very clean with the mod guys. The racing has been really good. Yeah,
but I'm probably sure you've seen in all your racing or even at the Worlds or something where someone's like, oh, okay, well, that one, he's sort of right.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously always questionable calls. Yeah, questionable things that, and they always say in racing, keep going. You always hear, keep going, and they'll call it if it's foul. And sometimes it happens so fast. I know I've had instances in my life running mod 12 scale where you don't really know if that pass was clean. It just, you had to go for it, and you don't.
Then
it's not really clear till you watch the video afterward what happened.
Yeah.
Roar Nats.
Yeah,
It happened at Roar Nats. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good example. Yeah, I think me and Kemp had a good battle going, and I think we had some gap over Kevin, like a decent gap to where I could try to make a good move on him if I could. And I tried to get on the inside. It wasn't really clean, and then I gave it back, but his car shimmied a bit because I don't think I had given him enough time to really get centered and go again. And I told Clayton after the race, if in the moment of the race, my thought would be just to go, and then they could recall it if they deemed it not clean, which they did, and I'm fine with that. He drove great, Kemp, and he didn't give me anywhere to pass. And I think I was right on him for the whole race. So it was a good, fun race. I mean, he's a good buddy.
You said it wasn't clean?
Yeah, well, I think the pass wasn't quite clean because I hit Kemp. And then in me letting, I don't think I really gave him enough time to like get back going because he was way out of the groove and the track was quite dirty out of the groove. So I don't know.
Call.
Yeah, I mean, I heard both ways on that. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I wasn't gonna argue it or contend it because I could see it going both ways. So I had to go for it. Kemp knew I had to go for it. Honestly, I think my car was a little bit faster. He drove amazing. And I had my opportunities to win A1. I think I was in the lead and then crashed. I TQ'd the third qualifier, I think, and maybe could have won the fourth one, but I think I crashed. So he just drove clean, so he deserved to win, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Got some questions here from the comments. Jimmy says, "Where's your chain?"
Oh, my chain? The one? Yeah, he let me keep that. That's pretty cool. I have it. I still have it. It's
You're full of shit.
I have it. I also have the light up TQ plaque, which I think is a very cool little thing.
The light up one? You like that one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool. You guys do really cool with those trophies. It's cool.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we changed it from the maple syrup. We had that for quite a while, the TQ. A lot of people like that. And a lot of were like, really going to change the maple syrup? It was cool to watch some of you guys that TQ the event and using maple syrup somewhere, pouring it on their pancakes at some restaurant and stuff.
Right.
I forget who did that. Someone sent me video. When I eat my pancakes, I use Canadian Nats TQ, my TQ syrup, right? When I eat pancakes. So it was pretty cool.
It's funny.
Jimmy made this year were actually pretty sharp, man.
Those were pretty sharp, yeah. So we stopped at the the place right by the border that has no taxes, and they had that maple syrup in the same bottles, and it instantly reminded me. I was telling Greg, it instantly reminded me of your guys' 2019 TQ maple syrup bottles. So that was kind of funny. Yeah.
I think that's where I got
23 says good. What's up?
Hey, what's up? Max is the best mechanic. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. I teach Sam everything he knows.
Yep. That's why I always would walk by Max's pit so I could just see what they were doing.
Take my car.
Yeah, so Max didn't know that, but now he knows.
Yeah. Bryce and I were always wondering what's for lunch or what's our next meal.
Yeah, it's nice having food right there. That's pretty awesome. And like you said, between rounds, most of the classes were stacked such that if you were running mod, kind of like I was, you could go and have a nice dinner. I know, or lunch rather. I know me and Kevin and Martin, the X-ray guys, we went to lunch a couple times for an hour or two. It's kind of nice it's nice to be able to get out of there a little bit, break away from the hecticness of the day. I'm sure you were busy the whole time, Mark, but.
It's always right. I ran down a few times. When I get a little upset, you see me jogging through the mall. That's because I'm going to the bar out front, a couple of rum and cokes.
I see now. Now I know your secret.
I made it back in 8 minutes one time. 2 rum and cokes back in 8 minutes. Right back on the mic.
You must have just pounded those things then.
Oh, I did, buddy. I wasn't even done this. I was already pointing to the waitress.
Well, see, now you got Shane, your associate race director, right? Or race announcer, at least. And Shane did a really good job, I thought. Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome on the mic. And I was told at the last podcast, I only do the announcing because we have nobody else. There has been some guys that come in and do it and this and that, and we pay them or whatever. I only do it because we have nobody else. And I know I stink really on main day. I think I'm okay calling the races, right? Car 1, go car 2 and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just not good. I can't do 2 things at once. So me trying to read the screen and then something happens on the track and I'm back. It's tough. I give all the credit to those guys. And every year we're trying to find somebody to come and announce and make it that exciting, especially in the mall. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And Shane's good at that. I got to admit, I think he's very good at it.
Definitely. Yeah, he was exciting.
Oh yeah.
I try to bring. I know we have a really good announcer here. You might know I'm talking about Jeff Rowland.
Yeah.
I'll try to bring him up there one time. We can get him
That'd
on the
be
mic
cool.
for a few races. So
Hey,
yeah, he's a good one too.
the other question I always had for you, buddy, is that before Ostomatics, you were X-Ray, were you not sponsored, or no?
I ran for X-Ray for a few years after school. Yep, before I got an Automatics. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, I thought so. Is
And
that where you won
I still love all the X-Ray guys. What's that?
Didn't you win Cleveland stock?
I did. It was 2015. I won stock at Cleveland. I think it was 17.5 at the time.
Yeah, with X-Ray.
With an X-Ray car. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I thought so.
Yep. And then obviously my first national that I won at Mimi's, which was at 17.5 Sportsman. That was an X-Ray T3. I think that was the 2010 car. So I think it was called just a T3, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I had at the time. And I used the setup, like me and Arvin joke about this sometimes now. It was a setup straight from the back of the book.
Nice.
I literally had it dead copied, and I thought it was pretty good, or at least as good as I knew of. Yeah, it was just the back of the book carpet setup, and it worked pretty well. I think there were some changes along the line, but I don't even remember what. I don't even know where that car is or whatever.
You mentioned that one company car, and I ran for them for 2-3 years, and it was I thought one of the best cars back in the day was that Corelli RDX, way back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was an amazing carpet foam car.
That RDX I had, thing was amazing.
Yes.
Greg really knew what he was doing. I remember buying that car from him, and that thing was awesome. It had the 4mm carbon fiber chassis. It had the ultra low roll center block. You remember all that, Mark?
Oh yeah.
And that thing was amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an incredible car.
4mm?
It was 4mm carbon fiber. Yep.
Yep.
In fact, I was talking to another friend of mine.
Everything on the car, Max, you would have loved everything on the car was aluminum but the arm. So the only thing you would break was an arm.
So you guys know the story about that, right?
No.
So I think they made an 8-pack of arms at one point.
Yeah, there was 75, 80s, 80s.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like their arms were sold in the 8-pack. And I heard, secondhand, third hand, that they made an 8-pack because EA kept breaking so many arms. But I don't know if EA ever had a Corelli. When you get him on, you'll have to find out the truth of the story. But I was told that was made for him. But I find that hard to believe. So I'm not sure what the truth is. I'll have to find out. But I had that 8-pack of arms. I also had the spring packs. They had like 6 black springs and like 6 silver springs. And one was like a 45-pound spring. You literally couldn't push it down. It was so heavy. Yeah, those were some good days. That car was awesome.
Max, you would have howled. One time somebody found a secret. They actually used the springs off a real car, the brakes on the drums. That's how stiff they were.
I can't believe they were that big.
They were like, they cut them to make them in size.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was stiffer than hell.
I was told back when I was young, if you had those springs on the front of your car, it did not matter if the front of your car was bound up because the spring was so stiff that the arm will go down.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Imagine that.
That was always kind of funny. Nowadays, everybody's so worried about having everything perfect. We don't run springs that stiff. Yeah.
How perfect does your stuff have to be to get a little bit more serious here? Like when you're racing at that level, how often are you taking apart your car? How often are you putting on a setup station? How often are you rebuilding your diffs? Like, what's the maintenance like?
Yeah, I think Chris alluded to this quite a bit last week, and he's definitely right. It's important to make sure your car is well maintained. I mean, go through your bearings, go through your belts, make sure nothing's bent. My rule is, if I'm club racing, I don't always take the car apart, but I'll make sure the belts are okay. I'll make sure any gunk is cleaned out of the pulleys. I'll check the bearings, make sure the gear, spur, and pinion look good, things of that sort. If I have a bad crash, then I'll do a little bit more of a teardown. Check the bulkheads, especially in the corner you crashed, I think is important too. If not the whole car, if you have time. Check the arms if they crack or could break. I think that's a common thing on Automatics, X-ray cars, anything with carbon fiber. The top links are important to check. Make sure the hub's not bent, that the bearings still rotate free in the hubs. I would say for me, like major teardowns, I do before big events. If nothing else, also just to clean all the gunk that builds up on the car. So do that. Check all your bulkheads, check your chassis flatness. Obviously, you have a crash. Your chassis, hopefully not, but could be done in. I've done that plenty of times myself. So before a big event, I think it's a must. And then even for routine club racing, just keeping the car in good order is important. And if you have a crash, then that's really a time, especially if it's a bad one. And if it's a bad one, to go through the car a little bit more closely. Yep. 12 scales, I think they don't need quite as much, generally speaking.
Yeah. So Max, that's a good question. When you're sitting there in Cleveland, how far are you taking that thing apart, or you're not?
If between run to run, if I don't have a bad crash,
Yes, I mean, there's no crash, your touring car, nothing. You just come off.
I usually won't do a whole lot. I'd probably take my tires off. I usually do put the car back on the gauges every run. At these big races, you have enough time, so there's no excuse not to. So I would say gauges every run. I like to check. Some of the guys from my track will tell you I always check my screws. I don't want to have a DNF because my car fell apart, something I could have easily controlled. So I check my top deck screws, AM19s, which is our top link holders. Check those screws. Make sure my tires are tight. Make sure the front bumper's tight and the bulkheads are tight underneath.
Okay.
And I probably do that a little more than you need to, but you have the time to do it. So like just routine stuff to make sure you don't have problems.
What Max yells at Bryce about at club racing when he comes off and the car didn't handle very good, and Max grabs his car and the rear arm's loose, right? He goes, you didn't tighten the stuff. I told you check everything all the time. So Bryce gets in crap a lot by.
I have a tendency. Yeah, that's
simple.
funny.
He goes, that's simple shit. Why the hell are you not? That's easy to check, Bryce. I
would rather lose a race because I got beat or crashed than beat myself by allowing my car to fall apart. Yeah. So as long as it doesn't fall apart, if it's on me, then it's on me and I can deal with it. But a screw loose, that really shouldn't be happening, or even a pinion falling off. It really shouldn't happen. So that's one thing I'll check specifically. And the spur gear is the way it's held on the automatics. It's something you want to check periodically, Kenny says 5 classes is a bad idea. I think so. There's some guys that are really good at it, like Jan Rathajski is really good at it. Adam Itze is obviously really good at it too, we learned.
Yep.
But for me, it'll be bad. I don't know, Kenny. We could give it a shot if you want. Try it at the next race. You run 5. I'll help you work on one. So, but yeah, generally bad idea, I think.
Oh, by the way, Matt, did you tell Sam who won the front wheel drive class at the Canadian Nats Redemption race? Did you tell him?
I don't think he gives a fuck.
No, I'm curious. Was it Kenny?
He cares. You can tell he cares.
Well,
he cares
Sam,
a lot.
Okay, Sam, we had our redemption race this past weekend.
Right, I saw that. I know we talked about that.
So it's for people to come to redeem themselves. Maybe they didn't have the best Canadian Nats that they expected.
Yeah, sure.
Wanted to improve their results, practice a little bit. Obviously, someone on this podcast, didn't make the A main. I'm not going to say who it was, but
because there's so many people on this podcast right now.
Yeah. So one of these guys didn't make the show. You and I, all we know is the A mains. So Mark had to come redeem himself. So he decided to run the class with the least amount of entries on a rent-a-ride program.
Okay.
Against some newer drivers.
Well, that certainly sounds like a good opportunity to redeem himself.
Kenny's car, that Kenny front wheel drive car is just amazing, though. I couldn't thank him enough for letting me drive that thing. It was just stupid good.
He's put some time into that car, I know, and he's got it working well. Yeah, which is cool. It's a fun class to drive front wheel drive. I mean, we had this past year not as good of a following at our track, but historically it's been pretty decent, and it's a lot of fun. There were a lot of good drivers running it at Cleveland this past year. It's fast too. It's not a slow class. Yeah.
I have a question to ask you, but I don't know if I should ask it.
Go ahead.
I don't mind. I mean,
I want to segue. You've been here an hour and 20. Again, we can sit here and talk for like 3, 4, 5 hours. Especially
you got a lot to say, Max.
I have a lot to say, especially if we pull out some of your shitty German beer you always recommend. We can sit here for a long time like Cleveland, but.
Yeah, thanks for getting that at Canadian Nats.
I couldn't find it.
Thanks a lot.
I went today.
Sorry, well, I'll get you some for next year. Don't worry.
When's our next race? Our next NYGP you'll be at?
Kenny's coming to race some asphalt with us, so he could tell Kenny and Jeremy you can just tag along with him. That's in July, so let's look at the calendar. You got about 2.5 months to get ready.
They ain't going. I ain't racing no asphalts.
Oh, they're going. They're all about it. He's all about it. So.
I ain't racing that.
It's
not.
But yeah, probably and usually a Southern Nats is a race that kicks off the carpet season, or obviously NYGP in October will be a good one.
That's the beer.
That's a good one there. Yep.
That's why I don't even know how to say the name.
I think it's pronounced Weinstephaner. We would need somebody German, or maybe Kemp would know. Me and Kemp have had a lot of those after a race. We just like to hang out and have a beer or two because, like you said, Mark, it's not all about racing. It's about doing stuff with your friends too and spending some time with them, going out to eat or dinner. I like racing hard, but it's not the only thing I'm looking for at a race. Even less so as you get older. You want to do more of that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. The most fun I had was at Champs when we were, I think it was done Q4 when like they kind of like closed the pits at the track, and then we just sit there. The bars.
Yeah, it's a good thing you woke up the next day. You were having a lot of fun that night.
That's
I'm glad to see you pulled through, buddy.
That's what it's about. I slept in a little bit, but I was ready to go. But those are the best when everyone's chilling, you know.
Yep, it's nice to get kicked out of there sometimes. Like you can just hang out and not have to worry about your car. Sometimes it's nice to do that, decompress a little, because it does get a little stressful. We're all trying to race hard and do well and all that, so it's nice to just enjoy it with your friends. Because sometimes, like, I always use Roar as an example, not this past year, but just in general. Like, they're busy, tiring races, and Roar and it's a national. Everybody's trying to put everything they have into it. It can get a little tiring, and not as much downtime. It's nice having that downtime too.
And it's a 5-day event, right?
It's a 5-day event. Yeah, it's long.
That's why I think the Snowbird race is not the greatest. A little long, but
a little long. Yep,
a little long. But I just want to talk a little bit with you about the industry and the RC scene, where we're at, where we're going.
Sure.
I'm going to start off with the big question.
Go ahead.
Classes.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be.
You're going to try it again. You're doing it again.
No, because
let's see if I have an answer.
So, like, listen, I got some good feedback this past week. People like the conversation of it. Should it be a conversation? Blah blah. All that good stuff. So I'm getting some good feedback. At the end of the day, all classes are great. Even at our redemption race, we had 30 guys. Every class was crazy.
Yeah, it's really good.
World GTR, was fantastic qualifying. There was like 6 guys that were all battling for TQ. 21.5, we had 6 guys. 25.5, so. But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, we had 30 guys in 10 classes. Is that too much? How would the competition be if we had 7 classes or 6 classes? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's a lot of classes. If we offered all of them, I think we'd have 14 or 15 classes at any given race. I think it would be nice as a general rule if we could get it down to 9 or 10. I think Roar has 9, 3 12 scale, 3 sedan, and then 3 classes that I think, from my understanding, the track is able to choose based on their local following. So that could be like F1 or World GTR or front wheel drive, whatever have you. I think we're obviously seeing a trend of motors are getting faster, even with 25.5 coming into play for stock. 21.5 is effectively the new super stock. 25.5 is the new stock. From my understanding, it's not labeled as an amateur class in any way. Honestly, the speeds of those motors are pretty high. And I think, if the goal is to keep top level stock racers out of 25.5, then I think that's Roar or the governing body's job to say, hey, if you have these certain qualifications, you are not qualified to run 25.5. I'm not really sure that that's been done. So I guess I can't blame drivers for wanting to run, stock classes. 25.5, let's say, is the new stock, if it's not specifically labeled an amateur class, or if there's a reason they shouldn't, because we've seen this before. This isn't really surprising, because before we had 25.5 and 21.5, we had 21.5 and 17.5, and before that we had 17.5 and 13.5. So all the motors are getting faster, the lines are getting less, and we're just seeing the same, sort of progression that we're seeing. So if the goal, I think, is to make a class for maybe guys that haven't made the A main or haven't won or whatever you want to use as the marker, then the governing body needs to say there needs to be some sort of rule set to keep other guys out of it, because otherwise they're just going to come in after a certain amount of time.
You're right, and just keep winning and want that title. And I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, mod too. It's so fast nowadays. Like, I know a lot of people say just run mod. It's a tough thing because mod is so fast, and some of the guys are a little bit older. I mean, I'm one of the younger guys. Max is one of the younger guys. Sure, we can still run mod, but just run mod is not. I think it's not really a fair answer to say for everybody, and a lot of guys don't want to run 12 scale as a second class. So it's like, can there be 2 touring car classes for people to run? And that's a tough question. Then there's also a talk about LMH. We didn't talk about that yet.
Yeah, that's the one that they were talking about over here all the time. Like, should 25.5 be just LMH body? So at least it's different than 21.5. And there you go.
And maybe it should. Yeah, that's a tough question. So, like, I think it's kind of hard to say, what the classes should be. But from everything I've heard about LMH, it's a lot of fun. The cars are easy to drive. And I've heard that from some of the drivers that I would say are not top level drivers at my track, but not bad drivers. Guys just want to come have fun. They're not working on their car at home. I think it's good to have a place for that too. I think Chris mentioned it too. Like, not everybody's going to want to work on their car to be Chris or maybe myself or Kevin Kemp. They don't have aspirations to do that. So what can be a class that they can race competitively? Because everybody wants to be competitive. And so I think it's good to have, all ranges be able to race, because they're supporting the hobby as much or more than a top level driver is actually.
And you mentioned mod being fast. Is mod too fast? It's a question that we've been talking about and thinking about outside of the show here, but
right.
Touring, 12 scale, 3.5 open ESC, and then usually in touring car guys using 5.5s or 5.0, 6.0s, whatever. Do you think mod would be better in grow if, let's say, if it was a 10.5 open ESC or 13.5 open ESC? It's still mod, so is mod too fast in your opinion?
That's a good question. I mean, for me personally, I wouldn't want to see mod slow down. That's just my personal opinion. But mod probably is getting to the point where it's just too fast for most people to do it. And it's a barrier to entry for most people that have thought, okay, let me try this. Like you said, in touring car now, we're seeing people motor down more to, people are running 4.5s and 5.0s indoors. Now they're running 5.5s and 6 turns. Cars are, at the limit of what people can drive and what the tracks and tires can handle. And I think the same is true for 12 scale. I mean, batteries now have over 9,000 milliamps with the new EA SMC style batteries and others, Coyote, whatnot. That the batteries are so good that you can't even use them all because you can't handle a car so powerful that you can put all those milliamps down. So now it's almost like we're getting power limited again.
Well, it's like 12 scale mod. There's so very few guys that can drive it. You know what I mean? Like, the only time I've seen a actually good field and all is like Cleveland when you guys get together, and that's everybody in North America and some Europeans showing up just to run it. But it's so cool to watch. We have it at the mall. Somebody says, "Why do you have it at the mall?" Because I just want to show people at the mall how fast these cars can actually be. But the problem is that you send it, it's gone, it's destroyed, it's done. And there's so very few guys that can actually handle those cars.
You're right.
Like it needs to be slowed down, in my opinion, right? 12 scale. Just get more people run mod because, like I said, Sam, what is there? Honestly, there's 4 or 5 you guys in all North America that could actually truly, really run it. You know what I mean? And run.
I think you're probably right about that figure, more or less.
Yeah. And touring mod, in my opinion, is that at least when you say not everything's destroyed. But me and Max were talking about that. Everybody that comes to our local track and tries running mod for a bit doesn't give it enough time.
Sure.
And you're right. They want to know, okay, what motor Sam has in, put the same motor, same speedo settings, same whatever, go to the end of the straightaway, send it into the wall. It's all bent up. I always try to tell them, start with a slower mod motor. And it's going to take a long time to be a good mod driver. But to give it a month and a half and pack it in and go back to stock, I just can't do it. Well, it takes long. It's a long time.
It is. It's a long process. It's like anything else. I mean, you have to put the work into RC to not just practicing, but also working on your car. That you have, all those things need to be right. And sometimes it'll be better to spend a weekend working on your car than racing if your car is out of whack or parts are bent or your belts are stripped and skipping or things of that sort. So I think maintenance is as much of being a good driver, as much, as important as being a good driver and working on your setup. So all those factors come into play. Like you said, it takes a long time to get good at any new challenge, and that whether that's running mod or whatever it might be.
How many days a week are you touching an RC car?
Lately, not as much, but I would say
in this season.
Sure. In the carpet season, probably, especially before a big race, like the 2 weeks leading up to the big race, I feel like maybe, 4 nights out of a week, let's say 4 out of 7, maybe even 5. I'm trying to do something, whether that's mounting bodies or rebuilding the car, piece by piece, or cutting some 12 scale tires so I can have them prepared for the race. I always try to be, or cycling batteries. I always try to like be as prepared as I can, because if you have as much done before the race rather, you'll have that much less you have to do. So, and that much more free time you'll have to just relax and not stress about nonsense stuff.
Mad Max was just talking about that. How many guys you see don't come prepared, and they come to the race, whether it's a club race or our trophy race or whatever,
Sure.
and the guy trying to mount bodies, and he's gluing tires, or he's putting speedo. He's got no speedo, no servo in his car,
right?
And then he's upset that he doesn't do well that day.
Exactly. I mean, I try to always come with my several bodies done. Yep. I hate mounting bodies at the track. I'm sure a lot of people will say the same. I hate doing that. Yep. And barring any unforeseen circumstances, I'll have several bodies on me. Barring anything crazy, I wouldn't need to mount any at the track, because you can always mount more. I mean, obviously some people take longer to mount bodies, some people take less time. But if you mount 4 or 5 of them, 3 of them before a race, and you don't use them all, well, now you have bodies for after the race. So you could go, mount 3 or 4. It'll last you a couple months and you don't have to worry about it. So that's sort of been my philosophy. Like, I'll try to mount more than less. And if I need them, I can always pull them out at a race, because with some races like Cleveland with their open practice schedule, it can be a little tough on bodies at times. You may detonate or destroy one in practice. I know it usually happens to me. It's just one of those things with multiple different speed cars,
Yep.
And then, like you said, having your speedo in the car. I want the car to be ready so I can just put it on my gauges when I get there and basically plug it in, put my tires on. I'm good to go. I know the car is sound because I rebuilt it or did whatever I needed to do on it. I don't want to have to do that there and lose practice time.
And you're right about guys working on their cars, Sam. It's pretty cool, having Mike gives us a place to have a permanent place, but it's pretty cool walking in there on a race day. And you're right. Some guy's sitting there. I'm thinking, this guy drove an hour and a half. Where's his car and his stuff? I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I knew I wasn't ready and I needed to get out of the house. So I'm building my whole car here. Just hang with the boys and build my car. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I actually thought that's actually pretty cool. The guy drove an hour and a half to sit at a pit table and build his car. Yeah.
Sometimes people like just to get out and do that. So I could see that, I always joke with Max, because I know Max builds his cars at about 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. So Max is at work, but he's actually working on his car.
You send me photos too midweek working on.
No, I don't.
You send me.
I take them on my phone from the night before. No, I've been victim of it. I'm sure we all have. So, I mean, you got to do it when you can. Sometimes there's a lot to do before these big races,
Well, Max has got to do it then, because he knows he's still got to do Bryce's cars too. So that's why he's got to.
Right. Max is on racer and mechanic duty. Yep.
Great point here from Darren. I wish more people would try mod, and like Mark was saying, just drive it at your own pace. People don't take the golf attitude towards RC and just focus on your own game and to better yourself.
Yeah.
Darren's
I think that's true. I mean, it's obviously nice to try to go out and do well and win, but it's not all about winning. I mean, if it was, I don't think you'd see a lot of people go to like a Worlds, for instance, or, I want to try to compete against the top level drivers and just see how I fare. I'm not going to be, if I did all I can, my preparation was good, my driving was as good as it can be, and then that's sort of all you can ask for, type of thing, You're
talking about classes and drivers too, Sam. I don't know. I got in shit for it, but also got my foot. But one driver, I won't say their names, but it's like, how the hell did they not run mod or move up or something? And then they actually told me that the reason they don't is that at their local club, they don't have no mod. They don't have this. It's all slower classes. So I have nobody to race or practice with. So this is what I do. And these are classes I run. And to me, yes. And then he comes and he dominates all these classes. But I'm like, get the hell out of those classes, my opinion. But again, if he ran at his local club, he'd be racing by himself, because nobody runs the faster class. So what's right and wrong? Is he right or I never, what I mean? Like,
that's a tough one.
Jesus, Murphy and World GT, right? And
right.
US GT. But again, he says that's all at my local club. So what do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, if it's mod or even some stock classes, they can be thin at some local tracks. Yeah. And people don't want to just go there to practice by themselves or run around by themselves, most people. And they want to race. They want to be part of that racing action. So it's like, it's hard to fault somebody for that, even though their talent level may be above that class.
Yeah.
So honestly, we don't have a ton of mod guys in my track. So, some guys that enjoy just going fast, I've kind of pulled them in to run with me, and then we make a heat and we run because. Yeah. And sometimes they'll tell me I'm not really racing you. I'm like, well, it's fun. We're still running a heat together. We're on the clock. It's good practice for me. It's good practice for them.
But you gotta like watching that guy improve. That was 5 tenths behind you a lap. Now he's only 3.
Definitely, yeah. It's cool to see that, and then you're able to help them too. Is always a nice feeling. Yeah, for sure.
And when we had Win and Jimmy on in the first episode, sponsorships play a big part of that too. We've heard. Obviously the sponsors that some of these guys have make them go in different directions. Like Sam, let's say you went to your sponsor and said, you know what, guys, I'm going to run now 25.5, 21.5. Would that be okay? Or I'm going to run GT12. I'm just throwing classes. GT12 in Formula One.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
have to say for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm not mandated to run anything specifically, at least not that I'm aware of. But I think if I told them, hey, I'm gonna drop down to F1 and something else. Well, not to say drop down, but it's a slower class, whatever. They'd probably be like, "Why are you doing that?" Because that's not where your skill level's at. So I think there is some part about it that's self-awareness to say, hey, you're at a level where you can run mod, you should run mod, or you should be running 21.5, so you're running that, or you're trying to run 21.5 and mod, or you don't race a lot, or you're older or whatever, and maybe F1's more your speed, or VTA. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think there has to be some level of self-awareness. Like, I know Max is starting to run mod, I've been running mod. I won't be running mod forever. If I race until at some point, there'll be a time where you're either not racing as much, or the speeds are just beyond what you're able to do. So, at some point you have to know, okay, when should I start running something else? But I'm trying to, hopefully don't do that too early,
Would you still race if that was the case? Because I know Mark brings up these big names that before my time that raced, and they don't race now. I know life changes. When it gets to a point where it's like, hey, maybe mod's not for me, or I'm too fast for me, will we see you run the stock class at the time, or will you still run for fun the other classes that are not as fast as mod?
I like racing so much that I think I probably would still run, but honestly, I don't really know. I haven't thought about it very much, sort of thing. But I think I still would. I mean, when me and a couple guys, we run off-road, everybody runs 17.5 in my local track. None of us are great. We just kind of dabble in it. It's fun. So we all run 17.5. It's more of our skill level for that kind of thing, So I think I probably would still run. I mean, I haven't thought how many years down the line that might be or whatever, but I think I can still run mod decent, so I still try to do it, as long as I can. I think if you keep doing it, you can stay in longer. Obviously, if let's just say you're in your 30s like myself, and then you take a break for 10 years, it might be really hard to come back to mod. But if you're 30 and you keep racing, I think you can still be fast. I mean, Chris is a good example. I think Chris is maybe close to 40. Don't quote me on that, but he's obviously been racing, working hard, trying to get back to winning, and he's still, I'd say, as fast as he ever's been. Kevin's a little older than me. Rick Howard was a good example because he was so fast for so long. I think he still would be if he was racing more. So I think if you stay in it, engaged, and also follow the trends of the hobby, you can remain fast. But you got to put the work in. If you stop, I think that's when it gets to be.
Well, hey, Max, look how well Martin did it, right?
I was thinking the exact same thing as you right there.
Martin, right? How well, right? He was 50-something years old, still make the A's in mod.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right. He was just right. He was just that talented. Well, his setup was that talented, right? His driving was good as well, but it was his setup. But yeah, Martin just loved. He'd rather run mod than anything else as well, right?
He was probably one of the best drivers we've ever seen. At 58 years old or whatever he was, still running. I look at Canadian Nats back to 2018, 2019. He's still fighting for wins in mod and stock, against guys who are mid-20s in their prime.
Right. I mean, I'm blanking out on his name now. Masami is a good example of that. I mean, he went for so long because he never won a touring car worlds. That was the one title that he wanted to win. And I think in 2008, I don't know exactly how old he was. I think he was probably close to 40 at that time, which was old, considered old at the time. And he nearly won that race. Yeah. So, I mean, if you stay in it, I mean, obviously he was more talented than just about anybody ever, but I think if you can stay in it, you can do it longer, for sure.
100%.
Is there a comment here?
Yeah,
see
where's your? I have a body here. It's not your Nats body.
Yes.
You know?
That is a Montec M21. I'm not exactly sure what race I used it at. That was my previous painter, my buddy Enzo. That one came out really nice, for sure.
I don't think you used it anywhere.
It's possible it could.
On it.
Yeah, for a long time there, I didn't use a lot of stickers. But now I really try to sticker all my bodies just because I feel like that's the least you can do for your sponsors. I also think it's like cool publicity. It looks cool. When somebody sees your car or stop and take a picture, they see all these sponsors that you support. Like, we really should be making an effort to go back to stickers and race paint. And so I've been trying to do both of those a little bit more than I did a couple years ago.
You know, that you brought up a point that just came to my mind. Mark and I watch a lot of real racing, everything. Should there be numbers in RC? You know, you watch any type of racing, even Formula One, they still have their numbers. You still know what, you know, Lewis, Verstappen, their numbers. Should there be numbers in RC?
That would be kind of cool. I mean, you know, I know at one point Scotty wanted to bring back race paint, where there were some race or thoughts of a race where you had to have race paint to participate. And that would be kind of cool. So I was joking around with Kemp Anderson at the Hootie race, and he said, we're going to call that the unofficial official race paint race. So to participate, you have to have race paint. Don't show up with anything else. And he was walking around telling Kevin Bear and all these other guys that you have to have race paint. So we'll see how that comes into fruition next year, because I'm sure a lot of people will go with the carbon nats being there, but that's cool. I mean, if everybody has race paint,
Yes, right.
nobody has to worry that it's slightly heavier because everybody's getting their body painted by somebody. And the 1 or 2 grams or 3 that it really doesn't matter that much anyway. I mean, I know we all want the lightest bodies we have and lower our CG as much as possible on the car, but at some point it's cool when we're not just doing the one color wonders, you know?
Well, we did the numbers a couple times for the Canadian Nats where everyone just picked a number, right? So that was your number for the weekend. It's on your car. All your cars have to have that number. And then it was a lot more work and all that kind of stuff. Luckily, we owned a print shop and just started printing it, right?
Sure.
But it was cool because actually Wilson came with the idea that whoever won each class, they were number 1 that class. So your cars would have number 1s on it for that weekend event.
For that weekend event,
yeah. So everybody knows that that's who it is, right? The guy that won last year, stuff like that.
That's sort of why I think you guys have seen it. I kind of did a little variation of my race paint. Ray McCoy Race Paint does my paint, and he put little Canadian flags down there. I just thought it was something cool that's just like different to keep it interesting and kind of exciting, and just to make things not boring. I like to switch my race paint up. Like, he'll put a different color on the roof or a different color on the hood.
Yep.
To be honest, I couldn't even tell you which one I like the best or which color usually goes where, because they all the 3 colors, just the white, orange, and blue, just kind of
talk about colors. There it is, Max. Now you could ask them. We were on the phone today together, and we got to ask you. Right? You ready for it? We're trying to be nice. Okay.
Okay. I know what you're gonna say. So
yes, you already know what.
I pretty much know.
Is that one color of your cars? Where'd you find that pukey yellow, mustardy, orange?
You know, that's funny.
What is that color, bro?
Oh, it's to me a pain.
Is it really?
Yeah. Is it? I think it's PS19. Hold on, I'll check for you. Max, you mind looking this up? PS19 camel. It's called camel yellow. I think it's number 19.
That's that one at Skycraft Hobbies that has about this thick of dust on the top of it.
Yeah.
I think that's the
one.
It
could be. Yeah, very well could be. I've seen that at other tracks. So, I just spray that on. I don't back it with anything. I do a couple coats of that. Bam. Good to go. Is that it, Max? Oh, yeah, that's it. 19. Yep. I should have that memorized by now. I guess I pretty much do. But
I was going to say, but why yellow? Why PS9? Why not?
It's just, I need some. So I've learned that I need something that's easy to see. It has to be bright. So I'm like, I think it was Mike Hania like a long time ago. He used some sort of yellow, and I just started using yellow and found this variant that I liked. I don't even know when I started using it. And I thought about changing it a couple times, and then I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Like,
I've never seen that color in a track.
Nobody really uses it, so it kind of like worked perfectly. Everybody nowadays is looking for a spray bomb color that nobody else has. I'm like, well, I don't have to worry about that now. You know?
No,
like,
you do not have to worry about that, bro.
Yeah, because it's so ugly that nobody else will want to use it. So yeah.
Would you be offended or like feel good if someone went to a race with that number or color? You know what I mean?
I've seen it a little bit in Europe and Japan. A few guys running it. I don't know if it's the same color, but man, it looks darn near the same. I
But
wouldn't
locally, like if someone came and had that color, would you be like, "Fuck, this guy has my color," or would you be like, that's cool. This guy painted his body because of me.
Hey, Max.
I think I would say it's cool,
Max,
or
when
who knows if they even did it.
When you and Bryce go to 360 this time, both you and Bryce got to have the same color too. But he puts his car down. You guys put your cars on all.
I'm gonna paint my car white and blue, just like Bryce's. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have multiple bodies just in case if someone picks a Sam, whatever Sam goes, that's what we're
whatever
running.
Sam's using. It's got to be faster.
Another thing I get a lot is why is my race paint color not resemble my practice body at all?
Yes.
Like that camel yellow is not at all in my race paint.
You didn't.
So the
yellow.
body Max has there is my standard race paint. It's got white, orange, blue, some yellow. Yeah, that's standard. I don't know why. I thought about doing it before. I've been told by multiple painters that my yellow will look terrible in there, and we just never did it. It's just been white, orange, and blue, and some fluorescent yellows. I mean, I have some that have blue on the roof of the sedans, and some that have orange, and it's sort of all the same to me. If it has those three colors with a white front, it's the same.
I love your yellow splitter bodies you had at. I think it was Roar.
Yeah, so I had a yellow splitter at Roar. I think I raced it at Hootie. That one actually had a little bit of red on it too, like a red outline. Yeah, that was just something different to try too, because it's fun to mix it up, just like the Canadian flag, like doing a colored splitter. It made it easier to see the 12 scale body. I mean, neon orange or whatever. So
Jimmy said PS3 is off limits for you. Never touch that color.
You bought all the cans. Jimmy's the oldest mod guy at our track. Did you know that already?
Oh yeah.
If you hear him drive, you would know. If you heard the track and heard a mod car bang, Jimmy, you would know.
That's Jimmy.
Did he put in the chairs? Or no, this weekend. Remember we took down the coroplast, so now you can end up in the chairs or was that?
He put it in a lot of places, but we all did.
Yeah.
So.
How is the track coming around now? I know you guys put down new carpet and all that.
A lot better, buddy.
Phenomenal.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
We'll see and come race with us big boys.
Yeah. Max will give me crap for not going there, but he hasn't been to my track yet either.
He's going to get that in there again, eh?
I'm sure that I'll be at Rose City before Max will be at 180. But we shall see about that. No, I'd like to go there.
The race I'll let you know about. I don't know if we have the dates yet, but it's our Nicole Parody's Memorial Race.
Sure.
This would be our third year. We sell out every year. Last year, 160 entries. All the money goes to. Most of the money goes towards a cancer research center here in Canada, and
that's cool.
That's a race I highly recommend. I'll send you the dates. It's close to NYGP time, but again, it's a one-day event. It's only Saturday, so
right. Yeah, it's really cool that you guys do that. I know you've had a big turnout for that in the past, so that's awesome that you do that. You come together to raise money for this cause and donate it all. That's awesome.
Yeah, and
it's cool to see races like that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get some. I have an idea that I'm working on to try to get some big name guys there because our race is close to NYGP.
Right.
So we'll see if we can have it the weekend before, so these guys come. So
yeah, sure, good idea. You can kind of work it into a warm up type of thing.
Yeah. I have the last few questions here before we wrap up.
Sorry. Let me ask them that. How far away is your track from Philly?
About 2 hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay, because my mom lives in Philly.
Yeah, not far. Definitely driving distance. Yeah.
When we go visit my mom, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Let me know. We can plan a weekend. I'll make sure everybody's there. We'll have a good club race, practice day, whatever you want.
So it's about 2 hours. That's not bad. Okay.
2 hours at the most, I would say. Yeah, but probably about 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just outside of Philly, Westchester, Eastchester.
Yeah, it might even be. Yeah, maybe even an hour and a half, but not long. Yeah. I think you would
pick us up in his Cadillac.
I'll pick you guys up. I'll pick Bryce up. Max will have to take a cab or something.
Uber?
Get the hell
Uber.
out.
I don't think we have enough parts at the track for Max to run there. So.
Oh man.
I drive an X-ray. I don't need all the parts.
Oh, fair point. Yeah, you guys would have fun. I mean, obviously, you guys are used to a little bit of a smaller, track with Canadian and stuff. So if you like driving there, you'll like driving at 180. It's a fun track. Good guys. Definitely fun group. We keep it fun. It's definitely competitive, but we keep it fun,
That's cool, man.
The Winter Warrior race is crazy. Like the commentating you guys do you can hear the
laps. Pretty awesome on the mic for sure. Yeah.
Yep. Time, buddy.
Yep. You guys have great.
Try to get Shane on the mic this year. I do a little bit, but I am nowhere near Jeff's level of it.
Yeah, Jeff was really good. It's
Yeah,
going to
for
be
sure.
exciting. But again, you can hear the laughs in the background. The competition on the track was insane. Everyone I talked to talks so highly of it. So, yeah, it's on our calendar for this year. So.
Is that the
Cool.
one that Wynn gave you guys crap for not going to?
Yeah, Brian's one of our longest standing supporters. He comes every year to that race. Like we even have a spot. Like he sits in the same spot every year, and nobody will let anybody else take it because it's just his spot. He uses that spot during the event, So it's cool. It's cool to have him out for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a couple quick questions to fire off here. Any advice you have for young, new racers, guys trying to work their way up, guys new to the hobby? What's a little bit of advice you have for them to help them out along the way?
Yeah, I think kind of going back to what we touched on slightly earlier, it's important to keep practicing. I mean, improving an RC isn't always linear. You're gonna have your bumps in the roads. You're gonna have days where you feel like, or races where you did not improve, you did not show your performance. You practiced way better at your home track beforehand, and you sucked at the race. I've had plenty of those moments. You just have to keep going. You need to plan to go back to the track. You need to work on your car. I even write down all my setups. I try to take notes when I can about what I tried and what I thought it did, or what that might make me want to try next time. So you can try to keep building and building a little bit as you go. So, maintaining the car, each week or every other week is important. And then going back to the track regularly to practice. I mean, pounding laps to the point where you're, really getting as much as you can out of every day, not saying, oh, I can do it next week, really try to get out there and run laps. If your goal is to get fast and race competitively and do as best you can, you need to run those batteries, but your car also has to be on point too. So you can't slack on the maintenance and just, like we said earlier, some days it's better just to take a day off if your car needs to work. You'll be better off at the next practice session or race day, club race day, if your car is in the right condition, for sure. So that's what I'd say to the younger guys. Try to get out there and practice. I know everybody's got a lot of obligations, but that's probably the best thing. And then if you have the time, make sure your car is up to snuff, for sure.
What's left for you to accomplish? I mean, you heard the list of races I've said you've won. Is there something that still keeps the fire under your ass to keep going? Like, what's that one race you're looking forward to win still? What's left for you?
That's a good question. I don't really think RC as much in those terms of like, oh, what's the next race I want to win, or what's the next race I want to do well. Of course, as long as I race, you're competitive at the race. You want to try to win. I would like to do, another touring car worlds and try to do well at one. I'd like to experience an ETS race. I can't say I necessarily have any goals related to performance, but, just branch out a little bit more. Keep going to some more events. Maybe try to go back to some races I haven't gone to in a while. Like, actually, a couple of my guys are thinking about going back to Snowbirds just to do something different. That's a race that I've never won touring car in. And I've had a few people ask me about that. So that would probably be a race I wouldn't mind trying to go back and win touring car in. Would be a cool little void to fill, and just a new challenge. That race has always been a struggle for me to some degree. So wanting to figure that out's always been something on the back of my mind. So it is, like you said, Max, it is a long race. It is tiring, but it is kind of fun too. You're in Florida. So, maybe I'll try to make a return trip there and see if I can figure anything out.
For sure. Last but not least, any dollar amount that you could get to never touch an RC car again, is there a dollar amount?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
That's another good.
I did not expect that to be a question. I have no idea. I have to pursue another hobby. I mean, right? You got to have something that's engaging aside from your work, right? So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there is, but I don't know what it would be.
Do you have another hobby?
Do I have another hobby?
Yeah. Do you golf? Do you do this? Do you do that?
I golf a little, not a lot. I do some biking. I've been into it the last 8 months or so. And that's more like a fitness style thing, but I've kind of gotten into it as a sport, or kind of thing, I guess you could say a little bit. No, I'd say RC is my main hobby. I dabble a little bit of guitar playing, but it's been a long time since I played. I love going to concerts and live music venues, but that's also not really so much of a hobby. So I do have some things I like doing outside RC, but RC is for sure my biggest hobby. And probably the cycling has been my second biggest one. Kenny knows all about that because we talk about it almost every day. So,
And you got
But
a
yeah, I
fresh
don't know.
bike at the Canadian Nats.
I wouldn't want to not touch an RC car again because I have a lot of friends in the hobby too. So, but we do a lot of stuff outside the hobby. We go eat, we have get-togethers, and like you said, Mark, that's one of the best things about it.
It is.
They have cookouts.
We have some cookouts. Yeah, if you guys were closer, I would truly invite you.
What the hell's a cookout?
Exactly.
The cookout, when you get together, you put burgers on the grill, you put some chicken, you have some beers.
So a barbecue.
A barbecue. It's a cookout. Yeah.
Okay.
We have a cookout. They're synonymous. Yeah, they're synonyms.
Sam said that one day. He goes, "Yeah, we're having a cookout right now."
We had a cookout. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
was
At my
like,
house. Yeah.
What the hell's a cookout?
It was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Had some beer, had some of that German beer that Max failed on getting. You know what I mean?
No, buddy,
Never
with my
mind.
mom down there for 20, 25, 30 years now, at least 30. But yeah, the difference, Max, you would howl, right? I still remember going to my mom's and she called it, they called it the Canadian thing. Maybe it is different, but where she lives, like no one takes off their shoes when you go in a house. So hers, she had a thing there, take off your shoes, please. And everyone that came in the house was upset. They had to take off their shoes. What do you mean take off my shoe? Like little American things that we don't get over here or something, or we have over here. It was just fun.
Yeah.
When I go to my mom's, there's all kinds of different stuff.
Right. Max, what would that dollar amount be for you to never race again? Or is there no such one?
There definitely is.
I'm sure there is for probably everybody, but yeah, I don't know where that would be. That's a tough question.
It's very tough. And then maybe I think of a number to ask the next guest. But yeah, no,
Maybe the next guest should think about this question prior. I think you have Paul on next. Is that right?
he'll definitely say a number.
Yeah,
He'll be
Paul,
like $10. Get me the
that'll be
fuck
a
out of
number.
here.
Yeah,
Sure.
Paul's about $2, right? He's all right.
Yeah, to me, it's not even, again, like, obviously the racing part, competitive, as we said, is the most fun. It's fun, but like, again, it's going to the track, seeing all the boys on a Saturday. It's going to these big races. We only see each other in person, 3 or 4 times a year to hang out. That's what it's about. Like,
For sure.
we could just get together and hang out and not even touch an RC car with the guys that we met. I would be suffice with that on a
Yeah,
Saturday,
definitely. Like if that would mean that I couldn't hang out with the guys that I've met through racing, that dollar amount would be a lot higher. If I could still do that but not race, I guess it would be lower. Yeah. But it's important. Those relationships are awesome.
Yeah.
Jimmy
For
said $5. I would pay to get away from Jimmy, but that's a different story.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
All right, Sam.
Cool.
Been 2 hours. Great
Thank you,
conversation. Thank you.
Yeah,
very much for
Mark.
coming
Thank you,
on.
Max. Thanks for having me on. It was awesome being part of this. So thank you for welcoming me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I mean, keep doing what you're doing on and off the track. It's well respected and it's huge in the community. So
Thanks
you
a
very
lot,
much for
Max.
being
Yeah,
you,
sure.
man. And hope you have a great rest of your week, Sam. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Man.
You too, guys. Yep. Thanks, Max. Thanks, Mark. Sure. Bye, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in and watching here for the last 2 hours with Sam and I and Mark. Next week, we have Paul Lemieux coming on, pro racer who turned to a pro owner in the RC community. So we look forward to having that one next Monday at 8 o'clock. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in.
Yep.
Have a great week.
See you guys. Bye.
We're out.
Thanks, guys. Bye.